A fishing boat is going down off the coast of New Jersey.
We're sinking, man. Get up!
Mayday! Mayday!
Water in March in New Jersey is as cold as it is off Kodiak, Alaska.
Go down!
In the deadly Atlantic, the chance of survival is slim.
You just pray, Lord, be with them. There's nothing we can do.
A family is wiped out, and the father becomes the target of the investigation.
It was a very difficult situation.
I'm gonna need to see the modifications to the Lady Mary.
Despite what you think, I know what I'm doing.
They was trying to put the boat sinking on me.
You got to have a strong boat or you'll die. Plain and simple, you'll die.
Abandon ship! Go on!
In the near-freezing waters of the North Atlantic, the fishing boat Lady Mary and her crew of 7 are near the end of their 5th day hauling scallops. They're working about 120 kilometers off Cape May, New Jersey, in a fertile fishing ground known as the Elephant Trunk. The captain is Royal Smith Jr., but everyone calls him Bobo.
Hey, Dad.
Bobo, how y'all doing out there?
Yeah, it's pretty good, Dad.
Good. Your mama been asking for you.
Tell Mama we all okay?
And we love her.
The 41-year-old captain is a 3rd-generation fisherman. His father, Royal Sr., taught him to fish when he was a boy.
My boys went out during the summer. They went on the boat with their granddaddy. So, all of them know what to do.
All right, Dad. I'll check in with you later.
Sound good, son.
Sound good. All right.
Bobo's father is known as Captain Fuzzy. He owns the Lady Mary and spent 2 years refitting her to handle the rough waters of the North Atlantic.
When I got through it, Miss Lady Mary fixing it just like I wanted. Because I knew what kind of boat I needed to handle the weather.
Named after his mother, the 22-meter boat is his pride and joy. Lady Mary is fitted with a steel dredge to harvest scallops, an enclosed processing area, and holds that can store 10,000 kilograms of scallops.
Grab yourself a tea. Kettle's still hot.
Bobo's younger brother Timothy, or Timbo, is also on board.
Here you go. Celebrate his catch.
Oh, yeah.
He usually works as captain on their other ship, but on this trip, he's just one of the crew.
We should be able to fill up by tomorrow if nobody's kind to us.
Knock on wood for that.
According to Timbo's wife, the family decided to join forces on this trip, hoping to save money.
After a winter of not making any money, let's everybody go out, everybody get some money in their pocket, and then we'll split up.
You guys are getting old. I thought I was the old one in the group.
Fuzzy's brother Bernie Mac and cousin Frankie help round out the crew of 7, emptying the net and shucking the scallops.
It's hard work, but they loved it. It's a fishing family, and that's what they did.
What do you think? I think more work, less talk. Okay. All right. Talk.
And I felt more secure or safe, whatever the right word is, with them on the boat because Timmy was the captain, Bernie was the captain, Bubba was, I got 3 captains on one boat.
Well, better get back to work. All the scallops need cutting.
Oh, yeah.
Besides Lady Mary, there are other fishing boats working the regulated waters of the Elephant Trunk. Captain Mike Potter commands one of them.
Probably 35 or 40 of us out there working.
Potter knows Fuzzy and his sons very well.
We talk to each other out there. We tell each other what we're doing, try to help each other, Bit of bad weather was coming, but catch was great. We were doing good, doing real well.
A full load of sea scallops is worth up to $170,000.
Oh. Oh, I think I found one. I think I've got a good one here. Oh, won't you come on? Let's go. Here. Come on, we gotta get this done.
So far, they've filled 223 kilogram bags. All they need is 50 more to fill their quota. One more day could do it, but tonight, the weather is taking a turn for the worse.
We're all talking about that weather coming up. Here comes the weather, and what are we going to do? We all decided to stay.
With a quota on their catch and operating costs like fuel, food, and ice for the scallops, it all puts pressure on captains to stay out, even in rough weather. Mario Vittoni is a consultant and marine accident investigator. He understands the difficult choices fishermen have to make.
They only have so much time to make their catch, and so the weather doesn't matter. This is my time period, and if I don't fill my boat, I don't make money.
It's grueling work, and the very nature of how they harvest the scallops is dangerous. To get scallops from the sea floor, they lower a heavy steel net attached to a frame known as a dredge. It's dragged along the bottom until it's full of scallops.
If it gets caught and you power out of it, you can flip your boat. And so the dredge, it's dangerous.
Okay, guys. Jose, you done for the night? You gonna grab some shut-eye?
All right, buenas noches, amigos. Nos vemos. Good night. Wait a minute. I thought we were family. You gonna let him go first?
Most of the crew will keep working into the night, all except Timbo and crew member Jose Arias. Jose, who speaks mainly Spanish, has been a valuable crew member for the past 5 years.
Rough night?
Hey.
Yeah, man. Tired, man. I'm tired.
Yeah, amigo. Cansado. Muy cansado.
Yeah.
Work, go until you drop. Every day. You get you about a 4-hour nap, you get up and go again.
Good night, man.
Then, around 5 in the morning, something goes wrong.
Damn it!
The boat is listing dangerously to its port side.
Come on, girl. Steady up, steady up. Stay with me, girl, stay with me. Damn it! Come on, girl.
Captain Bobo struggles to right the ship, but it's not working.
Jose! Jose! Get up!
Icy seawater is pouring in below decks.
Get up! Get up! We're sinking, man! Come on, man! We're sinking! We're sinking! I don't know!
They need to get out fast or be trapped.
Let's go! Let's go!
It's hard to tell why the ship is flooding, but it's clear they're sinking fast.
No!
There's confusion, there's obviously yelling. I don't know how much time there is to have a look around and see what's going on at that point. It has got to be just terrifying.
With water temperatures near freezing, they race to get to the survival suits stored up in the wheelhouse. Can they get there in time? About an hour before sunrise, 7 crew members of the Lady Mary are in a fight for their lives. The boat is sinking in the cold Atlantic.
Drop your suit! You need to abandon the ship! Now!
Timbo and Jose make it to the wheelhouse and grab survival suits. It's a terrifying moment Jose Arias will never forget.
When I got up and went upstairs to put on a suit, the boat was already tipped over and taking in water too much. I got very desperate to the point where I can almost not put on the suit.
An immersion suit can delay the onset of deadly hypothermia from minutes to precious hours.
Without anything on, Definitely like that. You cannot survive.
Come on, guys! Come on! Go!
The water in March in New Jersey is as cold as it is off Kodiak, Alaska. And cold water is 5 times more dangerous than water itself. It's not the same thing.
Jose and Timbo have got their survival suits on. In these temperatures, those suits are the crew's best hope. The boat is now listing heavily to one side. A third of the aft deck is already underwater. The Lady Mary is sinking.
Mayday! Mayday!
Just kilometers away, Mike Potter hears a frantic mayday call.
I think it was Bobo. Her voice was so shook up, they were screaming.
Mayday!
It'd give me goosebumps. Yeah.
No coordinates are heard in the mayday.
Mayday! Mayday!
Captain Potter has no idea where they are.
It was nighttime, it was blowing, it was foggy, it was raining. I couldn't even see 25 yards.
Fishermen try to hail the stricken vessel, but there's no answer. The crew is abandoning ship.
That was when the water took me. It happened very fast. I had to throw myself to the water.
Leaving the vessel and being a person in the water is the most dangerous thing in maritime. If you fall in the water and get lost, you are probably going to die, and there's a 40% chance you will not be found again at all, alive or dead.
Those who don't make it into immersion suits won't survive. Those who do are in a fight for their lives as the Lady Mary goes down in the frigid waters of the Atlantic.
It is brutal. It's an assault on the largest organ in your body, your skin. Just because you have an immersion suit on doesn't mean you're guaranteed to survive.
Jose Arias has a stroke of luck. He finds a wooden board and grabs hold. In the darkness, he can hear someone calling his name.
Jose! Jose! Timbo! Timbo! Jose! Jose!
They were in the water, and they would call back to each other, you know, hey, Jose, you know, hey, Timbo.
Jose!
Jose, he said, you know, eventually he didn't hear him and call out anymore.
Very quickly, you use your ability to move your arms and legs, and that means you can't swim, and that means you're drowning.
Alone and losing strength, Jose struggles not to give up hope.
I asked my Creator if I came out of this with life, never again would I go back to the work of the ocean.
We all were looking for him. I just got over close to where I thought the boat went down, and hopefully when the sun would come up, we would find somebody alive. But you just pray, Lord, be with them. There's nothing we can do.
For those in the water, their last hope is Lady Mary's EPIRB, or Emergency Position Indicating Radio Beacon. It activates automatically to tell the Coast Guard where they are. More than 100 kilometers away, the Coast Guard Air Station in Atlantic City launches a search. Rescue swimmer Lake Downham is on duty. He knows that once they reach the site, they'll only have about half an hour to find survivors and pull them from the water before low fuel forces them back to base.
We're looking for boats. We're looking for anything that may be in the area of this EPIRB that's going off. The weather, the ocean, it's a dangerous environment. Even us flying over it is dangerous, so if you're not on your game, it'll bite you.
Within minutes of arriving on the scene, they spot a speck of red in the water.
We just saw a color. Somebody said it's a buoy. It's not a buoy, it's a person in a survival suit.
It's Jose.
Sentí una gran alegría.
Oh, I felt a great joy. I waved to them so that they would come back and help me. I was clinging to the board.
You could see him waving, so I knew he was alive and happy to see us. So the adrenaline starts pumping, and I knew I was going to get in the water.
Jose being found at sea is part the skill of the Coast Guard in making a good search pattern, but it has to be a stroke of luck as well.
Lake Downham plunges into the near-freezing sea and powers through the waves to rescue Jose.
It's a great feeling when you go help somebody.
Then the next challenge. Jose wants to bring the wooden board that's been keeping him alive.
It saved his life, so we had a little emotional bond with that plank. So we got rid of that real quick, because we don't rescue boards.
Coast Guard rescuers have pulled 3 of the 7 crew out of the water. Bobo and Timbo Smith, and Jose Arias.
I went up to the hospital, and I hear Corino scream. Yep, and I knew then that it wasn't no good news.
Timbo and Bobo Smith are gone.
I don't want to see him in that position, and I wouldn't go in there. So I knew that they had passed away. I knew that they had passed.
I gotta take a minute. Tim he was the best. He really was. He was my soulmate.
They was wonderful boys. My life is empty without them.
I remember them as good, happy people. They had your back if you ever needed it. And those guys were special, really, because they were like brothers to me.
37 hours after the sinking, the search for the rest of the missing fishermen is called off. 6 out of 7 of the crew are dead, including 4 members of Fuzzy's family. Jose is the only survivor. Even in an industry so used to tragedy, it's a shocking loss.
I need you to get on this right away.
It's the Coast Guard's job to make sure it doesn't happen again. Kyle McAvoy will lead the investigation.
The fact that it was a commercial vessel and there was such catastrophic loss of life, I was tasked with running a formal investigation into the sinking of the Lady Mary.
Naval architect Tracy Phillips also joins the team.
Take this one here.
Please.
It was a little overwhelming at first to have been chosen for such a important task, given the number of losses of life in this incident.
With the Lady Mary at the bottom of the Atlantic, it will take all their ingenuity to find out what happened to the ship and why 6 men are dead.
Buenos dias. Thanks for coming in. We have an interpreter for you.
U.S. Coast Guard investigators looking into the loss of the Lady Mary have an obvious starting point: Jose Arias.
As the lone survivor of the case, a lot of Jose's observations were critical to how we developed things that we wanted to look at from an investigative standpoint.
We need you to tell us everything you remember about that day.
Jose, necesitamos que nos digas todo lo que pasó ese día.
It was really important to get his testimony and understand what happened on the vessel during the days leading up to the incident and then the day of the incident.
Jose tells them everything seemed normal when he and Timbo finished their shift.
Rough night?
Hey.
Tired, man, I'm tired.
Sí, amigo. Cansado, muy cansado.
Yeah.
He could hear the sounds of the crew working as usual.
He never heard any strange mechanical sounds. He was able to hear the winch that picks up the scallop dredge from his bunk room, and he was able to hear the engines running.
The next thing he knew, they were sinking.
Jose! Jose! Get up! Get up! Get up! We're sinking, man! Come on, man, we're sinking! We're sinking! Let's go! Let's go!
Jose tells them the boat was listing 30 degrees to its port side and flooding fast.
He never heard a general alarm. He never heard any types of explosions. He didn't see any smoke. When he went up to the pilot house, he saw the captain, Bobo, at the wheel of the vessel.
Drop your suit! You need to abandon ship! Now!
Jose remembers Bobo at the helm, desperate to save the ship.
Come on, guys! Come on!
By then, it was already too late.
When he actually made it out onto the open back deck, about a third of the aft deck was already underwater.
The vessel was probably beyond recovery at that point.
Gracias.
Nada.
Thanks for coming in.
Placer. Thank you.
Investigators believe the speed of the sinking didn't leave the captain and crew much time to escape. But they know little more than that.
We had nothing to go on as to what happened to lead to that state, because unfortunately the other 6 members had perished.
One thing investigators do have is a troubling detail in the timeline of the rescue.
The Lady Mary sinks at 0540, yet the Coast Guard isn't notified till 0700. This gap here doesn't make sense.
The Coast Guard wasn't notified until an hour and 27 minutes after Lady Mary's emergency beacon was triggered. By the time they arrived, the crew had been in the water for almost 3 hours.
Water temperature 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Probable survival time 1.5 hours.
The delay meant they were in the water for up to twice the probable survival time.
We could have made it in time.
I do think people could have survived. Looking at the functional survival time of somebody, it is probable that both Timbo and Bobo may have still been alive because they were in exposure suits.
It's more devastating news for the Smith family, who've buried their 2 sons.
Everything just kept on moving, except me. That was a pretty bad time. That was a pretty bad time.
Fuzzy went into a deep state of depression, as anybody would, He lost his brother, lost his 2 sons.
Determining what caused the tragic delay in the rescue will take time. Investigators turn their attention to the boat itself. Perhaps its history will provide a new lead.
The vessel was built in 1969.
Looks like the Lady Mary had some work done on her.
Lady Mary was originally built in Pascagoula, Mississippi as a shrimper and was converted to harvest scallops. For investigators, it's a red flag. Changes to a boat's original design sometimes create problems with stability, a boat's ability to stay upright in the face of large waves and high winds.
There's this tipping point. And if your boat has been changed and you don't know exactly where the stability is, you can push yourself beyond that limit.
Investigators need to know if the conversion was done properly. They book a series of meetings with Fuzzy to find out more.
We went to his office down in Cape May. It was a very difficult situation.
Captain Smith, I'm going to need to see the modifications made to the Lady Mary.
Fuzzy Smith and his lawyer are expecting the Coast Guard's scrutiny, and Fuzzy doesn't hesitate to cooperate.
There had been a lot of modifications to the vessel, particularly to the superstructure of the vessel, in that it used to have only one level of superstructure, and then Fuzzy had later added a second level.
Fuzzy's changes included a processing area where the scallops could be cut and put on ice each day, an extension to the stern, and a new wheelhouse up on the second level. All of those changes added a lot of extra weight.
Just curious, what is this modification here?
We did ask a lot of questions about the modification to understand how much weight was added to the vessel, where that weight was added, because that all factors into the stability of the vessel.
To confirm the modifications were safe, investigators want to know who designed them.
Who was your naval architect?
I didn't hire one.
May I ask why not?
I didn't need to.
Fuzzy's response is troubling. Instead of hiring a naval architect, he designed almost everything himself.
We know that making changes to boats without involving an architect and planning to see what it does to your stability is a bad idea. It's just, hey, what do I want to do to my boat? And I'll weld this thing here and put in a wedge there. And no one's done the math on how that will affect the operation.
Investigators need to know if Captain Fuzzy's modifications somehow made the Lady Mary dangerously unsafe.
They was trying to put the boat sinking on me. Huh.
Coast Guard investigators are intensely questioning Captain Fuzzy Smith. Did the modifications he designed cause the Lady Mary to sink?
Despite what you think, I know what I'm doing.
With all due respect, sir, that's what we're here to find out.
I don't know if Fuzzy would always feel that we were working together, and rightly so. You know, here's the government trying to pick apart certain things and understand details that are very, very sensitive.
What is this modification here?
Man, I was showing them what I done to that boat.
I extended the stern.
Everybody quieting up, because I knew what I was talking about.
I had some concrete to ballast.
The more Captain Fuzzy explains what he did, the more investigators can see his changes didn't cause the accident.
We can tell that Fuzzy was working hard to improve the vessel and to make it a better ship to work on.
You can see it's all in order.
Fuzzy added some ballast to the bottom of the vessel at the same time that he added the superstructure. And so we don't have any reason to believe that the stability of the vessel played a factor.
Investigators are going to need another lead.
What about the dredge?
What are you thinking?
What if they had some sort of problem with it?
There have been incidents where the scallop dredge gets hooked on something that's on the bottom of the ocean, and that pulls on the vessel at a strange angle, and it causes the vessel to roll or capsize. Perhaps the scallop dredge had gotten hooked on something and caused the vessel to sink.
The possibility that the dredge caused the sinking fits Jose's testimony that the crew was working when he went below.
The only way we could determine that was to get eyes on the vessel.
Aboard the Coast Guard cutter Willow, the team arrives at the site where sonar has located a wreck 64 meters below on the ocean floor. Cameras on an underwater ROV will allow them to see if it's the boat they're looking for.
There she is.
The Lady Mary comes into view.
I remember it clear as day. We could see the outline of the vessel. I don't think anybody was talking. We were just all looking down and watching the screen as they approached the vessel.
The Lady Mary is upright and appears almost perfectly intact.
Up to that point, we had no idea whether it would be sitting upright, whether it would be upside down. So there was a lot of those types of things that kind of helped clarify the picture.
Can you get to the stern?
They know if the dredge did catch on the seafloor and cause the sinking, it won't be aboard the ship.
The ROV came up over the transom of the vessel and looked down on the main deck. And then the first thing we noticed was that the scallop dredge was sitting there on the main deck.
It's proof their theory is wrong.
Well, it wasn't the dredge.
It was a big surprise to us because the initial thought was that the scallop dredge had gotten hooked on something, and so we were immediately able to rule that out as a scenario. And so our next question was, well, what did happen?
Can you move in on this? It looks like we got some debris torn off the ship.
There's another surprise.
That's the rudder.
The stern area has a lot of damage. Not only is the rudder torn off, the propeller is badly bent.
What on earth happened to this ship?
We were not expecting to see that type of damage to the vessel, and so we immediately started trying to understand what would have caused that kind of damage.
The water's too murky to analyze the damage in detail. The team's going to need another approach.
ROVs can't put their hands on anything. All you get from an ROV is that window of a picture and not the whole picture. And that's what divers can bring back.
Enter Steve Gatto, a technical diver with 30 years' experience exploring shipwrecks. He and his team regularly volunteer to help out on investigations.
Looking at this wreck in 210 feet of water, sitting upright, not a thing wrong with it. Then I got to the stern, and when I got to the stern, it was quite evident that whatever sank the Lady Mary happened here. There's where all the damage was.
Steve is convinced he knows what caused it.
The damage that was done to the 5-inch propeller shaft and propeller, kind of a smoking gun for me. In my mind, this was a collision.
Investigators now face a disturbing possibility. Was the Lady Mary the victim of a high seas hit and run? Seven weeks after the sinking of the Lady Mary, Steve Gatto's divers make a grim discovery.
There was guys searching the interior. One of the guys did find an unfurled survival suit. So he decided to drop down into the fish hole to see what might be there, and that's where he came across the body. So we carefully removed him and brought him up for the Coast Guard and the family.
Hello. Yes.
It's Bernie Mac, Fuzzy Smith's younger brother.
They found my brother Bernie. He was in the fish hole, so I assume he fell in there.
The presence of a survival suit close by suggested that he was trying to get into a survival suit and did not have the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
What do you think?
When investigators see the dive photos, they're also intrigued by the damage. But if it was a collision, they'll need more proof than this.
It is a fair amount of damage.
Yeah.
The rudder was no longer attached to the vessel. It was laying on the seafloor. The stern ramp of the vessel was pressed in on one side. So we immediately started trying to fully investigate whether there was a collision or not.
It wouldn't be the first time. The Elephant Trunk fishing ground is in the middle of a high-traffic area filled with ships, many en route to Delaware Bay. Servicing around 3,000 cargo ships each year, it's one of the largest port complexes in the United States. Every day, enormous ships pass through the Elephant Trunk, many of them at speeds fast enough to water ski behind.
It's just like I-95 out there on the interstate highway. You taking a ship that big, there's no way they could stop. It would take them 2 or 3 miles to even come to a stop. They could hit us and never even know it.
Sure enough, just 3 weeks after the sinking, another scallop boat, the Dictator, is struck by a massive container ship while working in the elephant trunk. The container ship sustained significant damage to its front end. If Lady Mary was hit, there should be a second ship out there with damage to its bow.
Damn it! Come on, girl! Steady up, steady up! Stay with me, girl, stay with me!
Just like the Dictator, when you have a collision, there's going to be damage from one vessel to the other.
Perhaps the other ship didn't even know they collided. The Coast Guard has data that should reveal if another vessel passed too close to the Lady Mary.
I need to see any deep draft vessels in the area.
You got it.
It's called the Automatic Identification System, or AIS. Using onboard GPS, it tracks the movements of large commercial vessels that are close to U.S. shores.
As we looked at the hypothesis of a collision or not, I do remember distinctively the data from the AIS poll, which showed many vessels.
Soon they narrow the many down to one.
Looks like this one came pretty close.
Maybe too close.
Container ship.
En route to Philadelphia.
There was a vessel called the Cap Beatrice that had been close to the Lady Mary at the time of the incident, so we needed to investigate that further.
The 222-meter Cap Beatrice is German-owned. On the morning the Lady Mary sank, she was approaching the port of Philadelphia at about 20 knots. Did she collide with the Lady Mary, killing 6 of the 7 people on board?
Okay, if there was a collision, let's go verify it.
Investigators track down the Cap Beatrice and search for signs of damage. Once again, the results aren't what they expect.
This isn't getting us anywhere.
After we sent our team of inspectors out to look at the Cap Beatrice, they determined that there was no indication on the front of the vessel that it was involved in any type of collision or incident.
The Cap Beatrice shows no sign of damage or repairs. But investigators still have another piece of evidence they need to check. Steve Gatto's dive photos show what looks like a streak of red paint on the damaged rudder of the Lady Mary.
Could be paint transfer?
Maybe. Just might be onto something.
The divers had noticed that there was some red paint on the rudder, and it was also fairly obvious that the hull of the Cap Beatrice had red paint.
Does the red paint match? Lady Mary's rudder is recovered from the wreck and sent to the National Transportation Safety Board for testing.
We didn't know what that red paint was, and so we wanted to try and find out exactly what it was.
The lab analyzes the paint to see if it comes from a collision with another ship.
They were able to scrape some of the layers of paint away and determine the layers of paint that were actually on the rudder from bare metal out to the color blue, which was exposed. One of those underlying layers of paint was a red paint. And so in that case, when the Lady Mary did strike the bottom, it exposed some of the underlying layers of red paint.
In other words, the red paint has nothing to do with a collision. It's just another in a long series of false leads. After months of analysis, the NTSB also concludes the damage to the rudder and to the back end of the Lady Mary was likely caused when the boat hit the sea floor.
When you look at the evidence of everything combined, the Lady Mary was not struck on the surface.
Sir, I need you to take a look at something.
With so many possibilities eliminated, investigators are left with just one critical clue. A detail from the dive footage could be the key to unlock the mystery of what sank the Lady Mary. Coast Guard investigators focus on what may be the missing piece of the puzzle of what sank the Lady Mary. Footage of the back deck reveals a smoking gun. A hatch leading into a watertight compartment is wide open.
Anytime there's a hatch that's open and the space is supposed to be watertight, we take notice.
Even more telling, there's a pump hose leading out through the open hatch. Investigators suspect the crew was trying to clear some water in the hold before the ship went down.
We think that sometime between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., something happened to cause them to open up the hatch cover and start pumping out that space. We were never able to determine what that might have been.
With the hatch open, a series of large waves could have washed over the stern and down into the hold, faster than the pump could handle.
If a wave came up and rolled onto the main deck, it would have been a very, very difficult situation for the Lady Mary to deal with.
The waves could have landed tons of seawater into the open compartment and triggered the disaster.
Damn it. Come on, girl. Steady up, steady up. Stay with me, girl, stay with me.
Water got onto the main deck and entered that space, and then it caused the back of the vessel to sink down further.
The aft section sinks down, allowing the seas to flood into the rest of the ship.
Jose! Jose! Yeah!
By then, it's already too late.
And you just got into a progressive cycle where more water came on and then it submerged further, and then they couldn't recover.
At that point, there was probably no way to save the vessel.
Drop your suit! You need to abandon ship! Now! Come on, guys! Come on!
As Lady Mary sinks, those who didn't make it into their survival suits die quickly in the frigid ocean. But for the three who did, Bobo, Timbo, and Jose, there's one question the Coast Guard can't let go of. Why was the Coast Guard rescue so slow, possibly costing 2 men their lives?
If the Coast Guard helicopter had been there an hour and 20 minutes earlier, it likely would have increased their chances of survival.
An examination of the Lady Mary's recovered emergency beacon reveals the tragic answer. Lady Mary's emergency beacon is not equipped with GPS, but instead relies on overhead satellites to calculate its position and relay it to rescuers. It took much longer.
Oh no, don't tell me.
What do you got?
A backup system also failed.
They entered a 0 instead of a C. The official form's wrong.
Every EPIRB is registered to its owner so they can be contacted in an emergency. But the 15-digit code identifying the Lady Mary was input incorrectly into a government database.
There was a glitch in the registration process. The EPIRB went off doing its job to send a signal of distress. That glitch in the registration of serial number in the database prevented a more timely notification to the Coast Guard as well as to Fuzzy that there may be a problem.
There was no actionable information, so they didn't send it to anybody because it could have been anywhere in the Atlantic Ocean.
The knowledge is a heavy burden for the Smith family to carry.
All the boys could swim. All the boys could swim. But that timeline made a big difference.
It's hard for me to imagine what Fuzzy was going through.
Investigators suspect Jose survived because he found that plank. It helped him keep part of his body out of the frigid water. The final Coast Guard report recommends new standards for watertight closures to prevent flooding. And new federal regulations are introduced, requiring EPIRBs to be equipped with GPS so that distress signals can be traced immediately.
Our recommendations ultimately were driving towards helping other commercial fishermen understand what happened so that they could take steps on their own accord to protect their own lives.
As for Fuzzy Smith, he's given up fishing, haunted by the last phone call with his son.
About 12, 1 o'clock, Bobo called me.
Hello.
I just calling you, let you know that everything is going fine.
When are you due in?
He said, well, we got 200 bags. Dad, we got 200 bags. And We got 50 more to get.
Well, if our luck holds up, we should have another 50 bags by tomorrow.
Love you, son.
Good night, Dad.
All right.
I wonder sometime right today, I should have said, yo, come on in. But I didn't.